Hi folks, this is all the fruit, and here finally I'm presenting to you the real black mulberry. I looked it up. During the last few months I made at least 6 mulberry videos. 4 of them had black fruit and all of them were basically the white mulberry, Morus alba. But here we have the real thing, Morus nigra, the black mulberry. So remember folks, most mulberry trees with black fruit you will find, at least in Germany and Western Europe, will be the white mulberry. Or I suspect some related species and also some hybrids with the black mulberry, but they all called the white mulberry. But this here is called the black mulberry. A really rare tree. I think I've seen 1 or 2 in Germany and hundreds of white mulberries, or maybe thousands of white mulberries. I've seen 1 in Malta, and then I think I've seen some in France or Italy where they are also horribly rare. So why is the white mulberry so common and the black one so rare? Well, apart from the fact that you have the white mulberry in a lot of different colors and taste varieties, you can also use it to feed the silkworms. So if you want to have silk, you have to plant white mulberry plantations. The silkworms eat the leaves. They don't seem to like the black mulberry leaves. I don't know why. Maybe because those are a little bit more rough. Well, in this tree they are not like sandpaper, they are not really rough. A little bit hairy underneath. I hope you can recognize those white hairs. They are shining really nicely in the sun. Well, so one way to recognize them, the black mulberry has pretty rough leaves. And also those leaves, they look a lot tougher than the white mulberry. Not only are they hairy underneath, but they also look tougher. Also, the tree is not such a fast grower. Look at that. This was planted over 10 years ago and then it was already big. There are no long shoots, no long twigs shooting off this plant. It just stays in shape. It grows slowly. This seems to be typical for the few black mulberry trees I've seen. Why the wild mulberry is used for all its twigs being cut twice a year and regenerating very quickly. Another difference are the fruit. As you can see, those half-ripe fruit here, they look quite different from the white mulberry. The single fruitlets, or actually they are single fruit. So each bump here is a single fruit. So this purplish thing maybe consists of 15 or 20 different fruit. They are bigger. You can see the remnants of the flower. Let's find some really ripe ones. Here is a really ripe one. No, it's not really ripe, but it's almost ripe, so let's try it. Very juicy, very sweet, and very sour at the same time. Well, we've had hot and sunny weather for the last week or so, so the fruit which ripen now are usually really nice. Here, even more ripe one. Taste-wise, I would say this compares to the best varieties of Morus alba, but there are a lot of Morus alba varieties which are not as good as those Morus nigra. Look at it here. Really sweet, still enough sourness. Very nice balance between sweet and sour, very juicy. They're a little bit smallish this year. Maybe some drought issues. They are planted on sand here and somebody is trying to water them, but it seems right now they are not doing a very good job. Well, but still the mulberries, they can take a lot of heat and drought. It's really funny that right opposite this black mulberry there is the most typical white mulberry I've ever seen in Heidelberg. And I'll show that to you so that you can see both extremes. Now we saw a black mulberry. In the last videos we saw a lot of white mulberries, Morus alba, which were usually not that white but mostly black. But here you have like the most stereotypical Morus alba you can imagine. It's a feral tree, as you can see, growing here between those tree stumps which have been thrown here to provide a habitat for lizards. I don't know if it grew from one of those tree stumps or if the birds just brought some seed and dropped it here, but it's definitely not intended to be here. Well, still we don't complain because it gives us fruit. First, let's look at the leaves of this white mulberry. Not that hairy underneath. Maybe in the sun you can see it better. Actually, here I do see some hair. I do see some hair underneath. Actually, those leaves in this case are not that different from the black mulberry, except for being a much lighter color, which is also typical for the white mulberry. And also, especially in the seedlings and feral trees, you find a huge variety of leaf shapes in the white mulberry. Look here. This one looks like a black mulberry leaf. And if you go along this one branch, finally the leaves start looking almost like fig leaves. Look at that. Completely different shapes. Well, the fruit of this white mulberry are coincidentally white, but we already know that most white mulberry fruit here will be black. They seem to be ripe, but they did not come off the tree that easily. They also, they're a little bit tough. Let's try them. Actually, they don't seem completely ripe. They seem rather stressed by the drought because they are still a little bit chewy and also not very sweet, but they're already kind of drying up. Here another branch with very olive-like leaves on this feral white mulberry. And then let's go back to the black mulberry for one last look and one last taste. As I said, those are more or less the two extremes you will see, the real black mulberry and some white mulberry with white fruit and almost fig-like leaves. As you can see here, all the leaves are heart-shaped, no fig-like leaves at all. And those black and juicy fruit, which taste 100 times better than the fruit from this one specific white mulberry. You can even eat the half-ripe ones like those. They will be a little chewier, a little less sweet, but still very good. And I'm glad the leaves are not too sandpapery, because picking the fruit in a t-shirt is not so enjoyable when the leaves are too rough. Okay folks, this was the real black mulberry, and also because of this lucky coincidence, a very typical white mulberry. Stay tuned for more mulberry videos and other fruit videos from the parks and gardens of Germany. And don't forget to like, share, comment and subscribe.